Greetings, everybody. Hi, it's me, Oberon, and this is Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. This is a weekly tarot forecast that covers the emotional spectrum and ranges that you might expect to encounter this week. And that week is today, Friday, June 26th, through next Thursday, which is July 2nd. And we go through the reading through the elemental associations. So we cover them in terms of air signs, fire signs, water signs, and earth signs. So we're going to start off today with our reading for the air signs. Air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Somewhat on the intellectual side, it seems. And every week we also pull from another deck the word of the week. So I've already done that, and the word of the week for the air signs is evolution. Evolution. And so evolution is your word of the week. What does that mean? Well, that means you will probably be confronted with emotional situations where you will need to keep that concept in mind, the concept of evolution. And the Egyptian Ka, I believe it was called, Ka, is shown above or flying away from the pharaoh, who is a mummy. And so the evolution is like sort of a spiritual progression sort of symbolized there. So I want you to think about that and remember to try to approach your situations with that in mind. So we're going to do our reading now. Yet another deck I use. And all my decks here have Egyptian themes, as you've probably figured out. All right, that's one of our cards. And cutting. And we have that one and that one too. So what do we have? We have the Queen of Swords, upright. The Lovers reversed. The Seven of Discs reversed. I think with the air signs, some of us, in regard to emotional energies and ups and downs, will be making an informed and fair but necessary decision. The decision probably covers a range of vice or virtue type of options. Maybe I'm sensing that somebody is really partial emotionally to one side of this, and yet they know they have to try to remain fair, because in making that correct decision, we're enabling somebody maybe to make a break with what their pattern has been, possibly to stretch themselves in certain ways. Because to me, the Seven of Discs reverse can also mean that maybe we have realized an action needs to happen in order to make things further progress. So that's kind of what I see there. It looks like a very important decision coming up, and it will be hard to make that. It will really weigh, perhaps emotionally, on you, but make it you must. So now we're going to move on to our fire signs. Fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. They tend to be a little bit more high energy than the other signs, or people with those aspects may seem that way. And they have a word of the week too. Their word of the week is prescription. Oh my goodness, it's one of those sort of antiquated words that maybe Oberon Osiris doesn't quite remember, but I believe prescription is sort of like sort of like the weight of authority saying, you must do this thing, you shall do this. I prescribe that you enact these forces for my support, or I prescribe that you chisel away at that tablet there and inscribe my glory. Okay, I'm getting a little carried away with that. But prescription is the word of the week for fire signs. They may have to think about what kind of authority they need to wear in certain emotional situations. That sometimes you have like a librarian, meek and quiet voice, and then sometimes you have to have the weight of authority. So that's for you fire signs, and now I'm going to move on to your reading. And remember that tarot readings are two things. They're a snapshot in time, and they are offered on my behalf or on Tarot for Today's half as entertainment only. We're not allowed to make medical, legal type decisions. We can provide ideas and feedback and give you a reason to make considerations of your own. So I think that's an important point to consider. Okay, so what are your 3 words, or your 3 cards, rather? And we have the 5 of Wands reversed, the Queen of Cups upright, and the 5 of Discs upright. And so immediately it jumps out to me that the 2 5s are framing that Queen, even though one is reversed. And so that framing effect tells me there's a lot of energy around maybe this person or idea represented by the Queen of Cups. And it could be that we fire signs are embroiled in something right now, and it looks like it's dealing with a desperatism of a sort, a desolation, a feeling of aloneness, and yet knowing that we should be able to find that solace, inspiration, or help. And then we're also trapped between this 5 of Wands reversed, which is kind of like more vino competition of a sort. And so we find maybe a little bit more grubby behavior from our peers. And yet somehow that Queen of Cups has to sit between those and kind of look at them and figure out how to emotionally make them gel better. So I kind of understand where the prescription's coming from, because fire signs maybe are not used to being in charge of emotional agency within themselves, let alone with others. Fire signs may have a more matter-of-fact way of having emotional qualities be ordered in their life, and yet I sort of feel like we're caught up with that. And I guess it would be a good time to throw out the idea that Mercury has recently, a week ago, turned retrograde, and so that may have something to do with it. But I would say fire signs, you're going to be challenged a bit by some emotional forces that are showing people their worst, grubbier qualities, and yet also saying, go somewhere else for help. It's not here, which is kind of shocking in a way. So we're going to move on to our next sign, and that's the water signs. Water signs are Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces. And water signs tend to be at home with the realm of the emotionality around them. So they tend to be a little bit more fluid thinking that way, given into maybe some emotional excess. And their word of the week is desolation. And, oh gee, it seemed like we were just talking about that with that 5 of Pentacles. But in this course here, the word of the week, desolation, says water signs are going to be drawn to some really strong happenings or vibrations in this week. And I'm thinking that there's a weight of things around us that's pulling us down. And we're going to strongly be there to kind of work our way through those desolate feelings and maybe trying to understand that, because if we can understand it within ourselves, I think we'll have a better time at helping others too. And a lot of water signs are drawn to a little bit more of the healing and supportive side. So maybe you'll be called into that mode and helping others deal with that. So be wary and try to be kind, as they say. And I notice my little shadow baby is walking around here. There you are. Are you going to jump on my lap? Come here. Come say hi to everyone. She probably won't. But some of the viewers. And pulling our 3 cards. Come on, baby. Come here. Come here. She'll let me pet her, but she won't jump up here. We have the upright Ace of Discs. Once again, we have the Queen of Swords and upright again. And then we have the 3 of Wands. I don't think I've ever noticed this card before. It's very splendid. So the 3 of Wands is in our upright position. And I get the feeling that with the water signs, they're making decisions too, strong decisions, and they're making informed decisions, and hopefully they're urgent, but they're not harsh. I think what's going on here is that water signs may be about to start new financial, business, materialistic kind of phase in their lives. Maybe there's a new project going on. It's a new job. It's a transition of some sort to another new thing, but it concerns the financial money stuff. That's the Ace of Pentacles or Discs here. And then I'm seeing the 3 of Wands, and the thing is about getting yourself ready, getting your ducks in order, getting your investment sound, feeling comfortable with that, making the strong choices. And gosh, I'm just going to have to say, as a Scorpio water sign, this hits really home with me personally, so I don't know how I did that, but very interesting. So, however, as they say, it's lonely at the top. All right. So finally, moving on to the earth signs. And earth signs are Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn. So this reading is good for them, or people who have those stronger qualities in their charts. And your word of the week, there's that Ka again, is resurrection. And that's in most decks, Major Arcana 20. This is kind of an oddball Egyptian deck, the Glyptokos. So they number all the cards rather than have suits to demark major from minor arcana. But at any rate, the qualities of the major arcana ring true for this one, Judgment. Earth signs are really going to be looking at some strong spiritual re-evaluation in their lives, or they're helping marshal that in for others. They're helping reveal that to others, reflect that to others. Thinking it's a little bit of both. So that's your word of the week. Be mindful of ways to spiritually evolve. This is a really interesting time in the world right now. I think there's just lots of metaphysical kind of esoteric kind of forces out there, just enhancing things that are going on. Those of us that have maybe intuitive abilities are finding things going on in that department. And that could be like somebody who's trying to be a reader like me, or somebody who's more of a reader, more of a professional reader, or people in their everyday lives. So I'm thinking there's a lot of stuff going on. Evolution, like that first card for the air sign said. So anyways, we're doing our reading now. And get those together there. Ha 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 ha. So the 3 cards are the 7 of Wands upright, the 10 of Wands upright, and the Princess of Discs, which is upright. So I'm glad they're all upright. Okay. Well, no, they're not. The 7 of Wands was not. That's right. 7 of Wands maybe is talking about this cycle this week begins for earth signs, I think, with a sense that the ground has shifted under their feet, that they don't exactly have that kind of advantage that they might have had before. Something may be going on. Things may be changing. Is there a clue to that? Well, it looks severe. It's the 10 of Wands, and it looks like you are the object of a proscription, that maybe earth signs are feeling some sort of burdens or limitations right now, that it may be that this change in your movement or your ability to move also provides a limitation coming to you in some form. And it could very well be that this card is analogous to the Page of Pentacles, and so that talks about our desire to merge ourselves in study, or to have that message come to us, maybe that it's about the qualities of perseverance that are winning for us in this round. And yet with these cards here, I sort of get the feeling like the limitation is sort of maybe putting a roadblock on study or on advancement that's more about that quality, scholarship, ingenuity kind of things. And sometimes I associate this page actually with a little bit of more mundane things. Maybe that's more the Knight, the Knave, I'll give you that, than the Knave. So I'm thinking that with the earth signs, we are shifting ourselves and taking on a burden that is basically saying, I have to wait to do that other thing I needed to do, that study, that advancement of myself. I'm going to have to wait and put that on roadblocks for a little while. There's something else going on I have to take care of. And maybe we're being called to move into a different direction entirely with the resurrection. So I don't know. We'll have to see if next week's cards give us a different feel on that. But that was what I had for this week's edition of Oberon's Outlook on the Emotional Exchanges. So join me next week, and thanks for being here this week. Bye.